Hey guys, welcome to Brian's Man Cave, episode 82. Today I'm going to be doing an episode about a Donkey Kong game. And it's not any of the games that I've played before, and it's not one that I've done in my review. Well, actually not really a review, it's more of a comparison. I don't typically do review videos. Like, I don't just pick a game and just review it. I mean, I usually talk about the games I like. I do comparison videos and stuff like that. So I did a comparison on this one. Donkey Kong, well, this is for the Intellivision, Coleco, and where did I put it? Atari. And of course, you know, this has always been my favorite, the Intellivision version, even though it's not the popular choice. Now, a comment appeared from someone who's asked me if I played the DK2 version of Donkey Kong for the Intellivision. Now, what that is it's a homebrew, essentially, where a modern programmer takes the system and builds the game from the ground up the way it should have been built. So what he did was he took Donkey Kong and he made it into his own. He reprogrammed it, and I'm telling you, it's literally Donkey Kong Arcade. I think that's what it's called, is Donkey Kong Arcade. And he asked me if I had it, and I said no. Unfortunately I can't afford it. It's kind of expensive. And he said, well, he's the programmer, and he'd be willing to send me a ROM if I would like to do a review on it. And I thought, hey, that's cool. And he wanted me to do a comparison video, and I was thinking about that. I was thinking, how can I do that? How can I make that work? And I thought, you know, this game, it deserves its own video because it's so cool. And so I'm going to try it. Now, because it's in an emulator, or I have to play it on an emulator, I don't have my computer in my man cave, unfortunately. So I'm going to have to take a trip up to my office on the top floor and record the video there while I play it on the emulator. And I'm going to just run through the game and see how it stacks up. Because if you remember my video for this one, you remember that the Intellivision Donkey Kong was like this. And so you can see why it needed to be fixed. And so Carl Mueller Jr., the guy who sent me the ROM, did just that, and he fixed it. So let's take a look at Donkey Kong Arcade. There it is. Okay, right there you can see that this is obviously Donkey Kong. Well, it says D2K, or DK2, I guess you want to say. Carl Mueller presents. And we got some options there. We got players, and we got game variants. We got copyrighted 2012. Program and sounds by Carl Mueller Jr. Look at that. ROM purchase. Brian's Man Cave. It's like my own special version. Haha. No. He sent it to me. Obviously, he doesn't want me to send it off to other people or give it out. And I gave him my word on that. So, okay, let's see here. So we got options. You can play as Mario, or Tony, or Bruno. I'm going to have to find out, is there an actual difference? I think there is. Okay, so I'm just going to stick with Mario, because that's what we all know. And I know Game 1 and Game 2, Game 1 is more like the original Donkey Kong, so let's do that. Okay. I mean, the sound's amazing. It just sounds like the arcade version. It's so amazing. And it looks like Donkey Kong. And Mario looks like Mario. Actually, everything looks a lot like it's supposed to. The board, though, still sort of looks like the Intellivision one. So some of that element is still there. And you can tell with Pauline at the top that, you know, it's similar. They animated her, though. She's actually saying help, and she moves a bit. Just like Donkey Kong, he's more animated in this one. You can see his face. You can see all this detail. You didn't see that in the original version. And this level is spot on, but, you know, to be fair, the Intellivision version of this level, the original, I should say, the original version by Nintendo or Coleco, very, very similar. Very similar. I mean, I don't think there was too much to have to change on this level. Unlike the Atari one, which is nothing like this. nothing at all. The Atari 2600, I should say, not just any Atari. But he did add this scene, which adds to it. Kind of cool. I guess the girl, Pauline, had to be part of the background or something, so she had to stay all that same color. And we are back to the beginning again. Whoa, the barrel just came flying at me. In the original Intellivision Donkey Kong, the barrels do not fly like that. They just strictly come down. So right there you can tell that this is a much more challenging version of Donkey Kong. Like, this feels like I'm playing the arcade version. Like, Mario moves really fluid. Like, he actually doesn't get stuck on the ladders. He moves pretty quickly. Way different experience. I think I'm maybe at, yep, I'm at the elevator level. So, the elevator level doesn't obviously exist in the original Intellivision version. Some people think that they were supposed to put it in there, but I guess with, they got rushed or something like that, and it didn't happen. It didn't happen in the end. Kind of a shame. This was one of the coolest levels in the game. And it's got two different kinds of challenges. Do you want to go up to the top there, or do you want to go at the bottom? Face this barrel down here, or springboard thing. I never go for those items half the time. I just try and complete the level. I believe I have to stand here. Oh! Wow. That was challenging. Hopefully I can get to the pie level. That's the level that you hardly ever see on most of these console versions of Donkey Kong. In fact, the only one that I've ever known it on was the Commodore 64 version, which I haven't really played, showed a video of yet. I was gonna, you know, I was gonna do a comparison video with this, but I think that this just deserves its own video, just because of the sheer awesomeness of this. I'm gonna get that hammer. There we go. Oh. So Mario turned blue when I get the hammer. That's kind of fun. Flaming barrels look a little bit better. They don't look like chickens like they do in the original. Oh! Ow. Finding this one to be definitely a challenge. And get your stuff. There we go. And up. I think I'll get that rivet. Go away. You die now. I think that the music is correct too, with the barrel, with the, I mean the hammer. Might as well get the umbrella while I'm at it. Great music, great sound effects too. I mean, everything about this version is right. I definitely would have loved this if this was Donkey Kong the way it should have been. Perhaps if the programmers of the day had a little bit more time to work on the game, weren't so pressured into getting it on the shelves, who knows? Am I at the pie level yet? I think I might be at the pie level. Yay, the pie level. Not sure why this is left out of most Donkey Kong versions. No idea. It's not on the 7800 version of Donkey Kong on the Atari. It's definitely not on the Coleco version. And surprisingly, it never showed up on the Nintendo one either. I don't know why. The Nintendo NES would make the most sense to have it, seeing as how this is a, you know, Nintendo product. And, uh-oh. Wow. Let's check out, I'm just going to go back here. I'm just going to go back into it. I just want to try out game 2. Let's stick with Mario. Let's see. Okay, so we have a blue board. Oh, and Donkey Kong is actually on the right side this time. Well, the left side, which is the correct side as far as the arcade is concerned. The original arcade Donkey Kong is on the left-hand side. The Intellivision version, he's on the right-hand side. Oops. That was my fault. I got one of those game pads that I'm using that has many buttons, and I forgot which one was the fire button. Or the jump button, I should say. This is actually kind of a challenging level. Oh, and I just got killed by a barrel. How high can I get? Not very. Lots of broken ladders there where you really wish you had a ladder. I'm having this jump right here. I don't know if I can walk on that ladder, or that hammer thing. I don't think I can. Whoa, and the barrels are bouncing around. This is crazy. I love this. I think I'm going to have the most fun playing these new levels. See what I got to deal with now. Whoa! Okay. This isn't... Ah! Learn how to jump, Mario. Okay, there's a fire pit here, so I'm going to jump over that because I don't think I can touch that. And we got something else making pies. Okay. This is so cool. Oh! Oh! I jumped right into the pie making machine. Wonder what's in those pies. Whatever it is, it's pretty toxic. It's like lava pie or something. Maybe it's peanut butter pie and Mario has a peanut allergy. I don't know. Okay. Just have to wait. Oh, I can't touch it at the top either. Oh, that's too bad. Okay, let's try that again. I have to give Carl credit here for creating these awesome levels. I mean, they are quite challenging. I don't know if he used these from like another version of Donkey Kong or something, but... And the game is over. Okay, well there you have it. Much better, much better. I mean, there's no comparison to this and the one I just played by Carl Mueller Jr. I mean, that version is, in my opinion, the real Donkey Kong. Not only is it like superior in forms of like better than this, but I mean, it actually matches the arcade game. And that was one of the challenges that a lot of the old games, a lot of the old systems had at the day, was you would play them in the arcade and you'd come home and you would play your so-called version on that whatever system you had, Atari, Intellivision, whatever, and it would never match up. I mean, it wouldn't even be close. Like maybe a few games, but here and there. But I mean, no, this actually was pretty decent. Now, you know, I really enjoyed this version. I really hope one day I can actually obtain a cartridge so I can play it on a real Intellivision system. But I mean, for now, it's going to be good, and I can't wait to try out those other levels again. That is where I really had a lot of fun on, because you don't really get to play new kind of Donkey Kong games like that. You get, I would say, like the closest that you ever come to that would be the Game Boy. They came out with a Donkey Kong a while ago, and it plays like 100 and something different levels, but they're not Donkey Kong style levels. Like they're like you play the first 4 boards or something like that, or whatever boards, and then it goes into this more of you got to get the key, and it's more of a riddle type of thing. I don't know. It's hard to explain it. You just got to like solve a puzzle. It's not Donkey Kong in any way until you get to the very, very, very end, and then there's a Donkey Kong screen. So anyways, yeah, so I reached out to Carl because, you know, I was kind of curious as to why he did this. Why what drove him to do this? Was he a real fan of the original? Did he hate the original? And luckily, he sent me some responses back to my questions. So my first question really was, why did he do this? Did he have a reason to do this? Was it a challenge? Was it, did he just really hate the original? Did he love the original and he wanted to make it better? I wanted to know that. So his answer was, it started out as an exercise to learn Intellivision programming, which is cool. I mean, he chose Donkey Kong. I mean, I did the same thing back in the day when I was learning Flash and Director on the computer on how to use it. And I started doing classic games to learn programming. I mean, I did basic programming, but when I'm going into stuff like this, using old video games to try and figure out how to program is actually a pretty good idea. And that's what he did. But he always wanted to see how difficult it would be to make something more appealing than Coleco's original version. Now, I kind of mentioned that they probably could have done better if they had more time during the programming process. But I understand at the time, you're going into the early 80s. Video games weren't, a lot of people really didn't know what they were doing. And they put a lot of pressure on the programmers to say, just get it out there, get it out on the shelf. And, dare I even mention E.T., the whole Atari E.T., and, how much pressure Howard Scott Warshaw was put into getting a game, out on the shelf as fast as possible. And I think he built an entire game, which is pretty brilliant in my opinion, and got it out there in like a few weeks versus a few months. So it's pretty cool that he kind of thought this way. And he also talked about how far he could push the hardware to make it as close as possible to the arcade. Again, I mentioned that a few times. I felt like I was playing the arcade version. At no point did I feel like I was playing an actual Intellivision game. He thought the original was okay at the time, and so did I. I didn't really know the difference. But he always hated that there was two screens, and I agree with him. I always thought, why is there only two screens on the Intellivision? And I knew because my friend had the ColecoVision, and that had three screens. And I'm like, where's the third screen? Why can't it have a third screen? And at that time, I didn't even know there was a fourth screen. I didn't know there was the Pi level until I got my Commodore. And even then, it wasn't until I got Donkey Kong on the Commodore, so that's pretty cool. He also became aware of how inferior the original was, especially to the ColecoVision. So comparing the two side by side, in my comparison video, I did the same thing. And you've got to wonder, one is not like the other. So what's going on there? Especially when the Intellivision has that capability of doing it. And this is probably what created that theory that they dumbed down the Intellivision or whatever, the other versions, to make the Coleco look better. It didn't sit well when he was at a young age. I also asked him another question. Did he do it with any other games? Because I was kind of curious. Did he improve on any other games? So he said he also did a Miss Pac-Man for the Intellivision. And it's available for free off his Blogger page. So if you go to www.carlmuellerjr.com, you can, I guess, download the game. Now, the difference here is that Miss Pac-Man was never released on the Intellivision originally. And I have here Pac-Man, which is, just Pac-Man. I didn't even know this was on the Intellivision. In fact, I was one of those people that always figured Pac-Man never existed on the Intellivision. And so unless you bought a homebrew version of it, I never thought it really existed. But then I found this in the store, and I'm like, oh, it did exist. That's cool. I mean, mine's pretty beat up, but, it works. And so he said, I also tried to make this as close as possible to the arcade. And his motivation for programming the Miss Pac-Man is simply because he always loved Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man and was missing the Intellivision library. And I understand that. There's a lot of games that are really good games that just never hit the Intellivision. Probably due to licensing, but also you got to consider that the crash happened at this time. And a lot of games probably just never made it onto certain systems. So I also asked if he had any future plans of what he was planning to do. And he said not at the moment. There was an idea to do D2K Jr., which I have. I have the Donkey Kong Jr. for the Intellivision. I did a comparison video of that. And he makes a good point there. Some graphics have been put together. But it's not necessary because the original Intellivision Donkey Kong Jr. is actually pretty good. And if you check out my my comparison video, you'll see that the Intellivision version was nothing to sneeze at. I mean, it was a good video. It was a good video game. It was a good, comparison compared to the Coleco and stuff. Sure, the Coleco was a little better, but I mean, it wasn't like, it wasn't like when I compared the Intellivision Donkey Kong to the Intellivision or to the Coleco Donkey Kong. Like it wasn't two different worlds. So he makes a lot of sense by saying that. And, and the fact that he says that the Intellivision version was actually pretty good. It remains to be seen whether I'll continue to work on it or not. At the moment, he's doing some other Intellivision related projects, but nothing specifically that improves other existing games. So it's kind of interesting that he's decided to make newer games. And that just opens up a whole new world of games. You don't have to just say that this is just a reboot or a better version of something else, that we're actually getting newer games for the Intellivision. And it's quite, it's kind of exciting, and I can't wait to see what he comes up with, because, it's always great to be able to continue to play these old games, and you always kind of wonder what it would have been like if, we didn't end up getting the newer systems, the Nintendo and the PlayStations and all that other stuff. Where could they have gone with these older games? Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed Donkey Kong Arcade, which is also, I guess, called DK2 for this one. And I'd like to know what you have to say, what you think about Donkey Kong, what you think about the game, and would you buy this if you had an Intellivision? And I think you should, and I hope to one day myself. Anyways, thanks for dropping by. Hope you subscribe. Talk to you later.